All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. So, in this video, it's going to be the last video of the week. I'm going to be doing a daily forecast for tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday, June 12th, 2026. And let's start by looking at the economic calendar. Well, we pretty much don't really have anything. Right here, we have a GBP red folder and some US dollar orange folder, but that's pretty much all we have. But in my opinion, tomorrow we have something even more important than that, and that's SpaceX IPO. It will um it will destroy the markets. There's going to be so much money coming in to one single company in a very short amount of time, and that I think is going to affect many other markets. And so that to me is a red folder when it comes to economic news, the SpaceX IPO. Even though it might not relate to like Forex markets, but definitely commodities and especially, well, the stocks and the ETFs and just the indices in general. Okay. So let's take a look at that. Starting with the dollar here, we have reached this target right here, and now it seems like we're sweeping it. That turns into a sweep right here, and we are heading lower now. So honestly, that's not what I was expecting from the dollar. I wanted it to keep going towards this high, and so right now this move lower looks very strong. First of all, that's important to say. It's a very strong move. We should be creating that 4 hour fair value gap. So honestly, now I might, well, I think I have to be objective about this. Now we're turning bearish here on the dollar, and that means that this low would be the next target. But again, we do need some kind of confirmation. First of all, creating that 4 hour fair value gap, and then, some evidence that we want to actually continue lower here on the dollar. But initially, that's not what was expected, so I'm a little bit suspicious about this, okay? And it's important that you adopt the same mindset here. So, yeah, everything is doing the opposite of what we expected it to do. So, honestly, it's too suspicious. I don't like it. I would rather wait. Well, actually, you know what? USDCHF does look good. Let's see if we can reject from this daily fair value gap here, because that could be interesting, okay? But EU and GU are not interesting anymore, and then USDJPY, yeah, no, that's not too great either. Okay, so yeah, I if I was gonna look at majors tomorrow, I'm definitely going to be looking at USD CHF, but it's not my priority because the real moves are going to happen in the stock market tomorrow, and other types of assets like Bitcoin and metals and stuff like that. So I don't think the Forex markets are going to move a lot tomorrow. Um, and so that's why I wouldn't really focus on USD CHF. But if there's a setup, then yeah, I think you could potentially take it. Obviously, if that is if the dollar also wants to move higher. Because if the dollar shows a lot of bearish signs, then you shouldn't be taking a long here on USDCHF. That's really important. Moving on to gold. So yeah, gold, huge retracement today from because we reached that target right here. And now, at the beginning of the day, actually, we were consolidating. We were just around that 0.25 level, of the Fibonacci. And then I think Donald Trump was saying like, oh, we're going to strike them on Thursday night. We're going to strike Iran on Thursday night. And then somewhere, I think, um, yeah, it's somewhere in the afternoon. So at like, yeah, 1 p.m., he posted something on Truth Social saying that, um, they were not going to strike around tonight. And so that reversed all the markets from nowhere. And so honestly, this move up that we're seeing right now to me is more reactive. It's more, just reacting to the news rather than actual real move. So obviously, my bias is still bearish here on gold, and especially if you combine that with the fact that there's the SpaceX IPO. Okay, so let me explain that right here. Okay, what's gonna happen tomorrow is that we're gonna have the biggest IPO in history. You probably already know that. Um, but there's just gonna be so much money flowing into that one single stock, which is SpaceX. We're talking trillions, okay? Trillions of dollars are gonna go into that stock on the first day. And so that money needs to come from somewhere, right? Like it just can't appear out of thin air. And so that money comes from investor money. And that means that most people, and that's also what I did, to be honest, most investors are going to be selling elsewhere. They're going to be selling their Nvidias, they're going to be selling their the other stocks in order to get in on SpaceX. And some of the selling that we've been seeing lately ahead of the SpaceX IPO is also true for gold, silver, and Bitcoin. Okay, it's not a what's the word? Like it shouldn't be a mystery. We know where that selling came from. It came from people getting ready for a big market disturbance, which is SpaceX. Okay? So overall, yes, we had a strong bullish day today here on gold, but I am still sticking to my bearish bias because that's what I would do. I would be selling some gold to get in to have more money to get in on SpaceX, or I would be selling some of my Nvidia shares to get in on SpaceX, and I think that's pretty much what everyone is doing. So bearish here on gold for tomorrow. We did create that daily fair value gap, which happens to overlap with the golden level right here. If we look on the 4 hour, we have this beautiful Fibonacci range. And honestly, I don't know, this area, we have a fair value area low here. We have the golden level. We have a daily fair value gap. We have a swing high. This area looks really strong to me, and I definitely think price will reverse from there. Okay. So that's it for gold for tomorrow. Then silver. So silver, yeah, it's very different than gold. It's much stronger in my opinion because we didn't create any daily fair value gap. We even disrespected completely this one. But at the same time, we still have, if you take the daily range, okay, so this is the daily range right here. There we go. We still haven't reached the zero point 0.5 level, and the golden level is really close to this fair value area. And so again, just like gold, I think that this area right here is very strong to push price back in the right direction, which is bearish, which is lower. Um, so yeah, I also see bearish tomorrow on silver, and also on silver, we never grabbed that liquidity down here. And so we need to grab that liquidity if we want to have a considerable move to the upside. Okay. So that's it for silver. Now, if we move on to crude oil, so again, today the day started and we were gonna have full on war at night, and then Trump came back on his decision and said that they were not gonna strike oil. So right now, we're all the way back down to $87 a barrel. And now I am pretty sure this is the next target. It's the monthly fair value gap. And from there, it's going to explode higher. Now I think the bias is pretty clear, and there's just no doubt about where oil wants to head next. And that's the monthly fair value gap. Now, we do have a 4 hour fair value gap, We could have a retracement into it to continue lower, but we'll have to see. But just overall, I think, yeah, I think overall it's going to continue lower tomorrow here in crude oil. But it's not, crude oil is not going to be the main story tomorrow. Okay, that's really important. SpaceX and the stock market is going to be the main story. Today, crude oil was the main story, but tomorrow is not going to be. So there might be less volatility coming into crude oil tomorrow. Then Bitcoin going higher today a little bit. It's not crazy move, but overall, yes, we're definitely heading for that daily fair value gap to then continue lower. So that to me, nothing has changed here on Bitcoin. Then the indices. So the indices, listen, I'm pretty sure about what I'm saying here on what's going to happen tomorrow on the indices. I could be wrong, and I mean, I acknowledge that I could be wrong, but to me, it just wouldn't make any sense if with that amount of money flowing into one single company that the indices would go higher because that is gonna well, it's gonna cut the money coming in into other companies. People are going to be forced to sell their other assets in order to get in on this. And so, like, I know that what we're seeing on both ES and NASDAQ right now is strongly bullish, right? I know that. But still, I just, to me, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense that we would that the entire stock market would go higher just because of one single company. I don't know. To me, it just doesn't make any sense. So, anyways, we'll see what happens. But overall, I'm saying bearish here on the indices, even though I know that objectively, looking at this chart, it doesn't look like that. But it's just, I guess at this point, it's just my belief system. And so we'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll see what happens. And then finally, we can take a look at the crosses quickly. Yeah, no, nothing interesting here. It's over for the week. And then, yeah, no, that's not good as well. Okay, so it's over for the crosses for this week. And so for tomorrow, overall, I would say the dollar should go lower. Um, and so if the dollar goes lower, then this would also go lower. But if the dollar starts going higher, then I would take a look at USD only if the dollar starts moving higher. But Forex bears for tomorrow, stay away. Gold and silver, I'm overall still bearish. I still think tomorrow, the big selling of all asset types is gonna transpire in gold and silver. Then crude oil should be low volatility tomorrow. And we should see lower prices. Bitcoin, we should keep seeing higher prices. And then on the indices, well, I know it doesn't look like it right now, but I'm saying bearish for tomorrow. Okay, so we'll see how that plays out. Tomorrow's going to be a very exciting day, very stressful day. I can't wait to see if my investment is going to go straight up or straight down because it's honestly at this point like investing in SpaceX is just it's literally a gamble, but it's like it's a bet on Elon Musk. And so I was like, why not? I like, trading with a strategy. I like following a process, but this is just way too big, way too hyped, and I just thought I would get in on it. So yeah, very exciting day tomorrow. Can't wait to see what happens. But yeah, guys, that's it for the daily forecast. So then thank you for listening, and I will see you Sunday night for the weekly forecast. Thank you, guys.